The potential impacts for the decisions in Blaine are how we as a city are able to provide the services to the citizens of Blaine, which is our most important initiatives. So we have to look at what are we dealing with, and we're dealing with looking at revenues coming in versus expenses going out. And by state law, we have to have a balanced budget. So the revenues have to be at least equal to or greater than our expenses. So if we look at our revenues, first of all, they are mainly property tax and sales tax. Property tax, when you write your check for property tax, only 13 to 15% actually goes to the city of Blaine. The rest of it goes to the state, the county, the fire department, the school district. So with that 13%, we are limited by law, state law, to only increase that amount by 1% per year if the city council votes on it. So that's very limited amount of increase in property tax. Therefore, we're really, to try and maintain the revenues, we're really looking at sales tax. And by looking at sales tax, we need viable businesses downtown. So when we are addressing the downtown area, we're trying to make up that deficit in sales tax in order to provide the same level of services. So again, looking at expenditures, we have to pay the going rate for salaries to our staff and our unions, and we negotiate very, very fairly with our unions. We take into consideration what other cities of similar size, similar location are paying their workers so we can be competitive. And with inflation running anywhere up to 9%, this has been very difficult. It leaves quite a gap between 9% of what we have to pay our workers versus the 1% increase in property tax. So therefore, we have to be a bit more creative in how we're going to get our sales taxes up, and how we're going to do that by encouraging some of these vacant stores that we have in Blaine to become full with viable businesses so that people will be willing to shop, wander around the streets of Blaine.
What actions did the City Council take regarding downtown zoning? So City Council provided some parking relief by passing the downtown zoning ordinance. Basically what that means is when somebody does a new development downtown, they don't have to build as much parking on site by paying a parking in lieu fee. The city then collects that fee over time and can make parking improvements, adding more parking, making other parking improvements, working on pedestrian wayfinding signage, things like that. So hopefully it provides a little better development atmosphere downtown and we can see some new growth happening. I think the other thing that Council did is let the development community know that we're open for business. So we're ready to go and hopefully we can get some action happening.
My reaction to the council's decision is I'm all for it. I think it's fantastic. It will create a more vibrant downtown with apartments for purchase, for rent, and it will create a sense of pride and community within downtown.
The factors that motivated the council were, first of all, last year we had to lay off 10% of our staff. And with that comes 10% of service, roads, water, electricity, and longer times for permitting for building. So this is what we had to address. We can't lay off any more staff. If we can't increase the revenues, we have to decrease the staffing to make a balanced budget.
So what processes occurred before the action was that City Council knew this was going to be an important issue, so they formed the Downtown Ad Hoc Advisory Committee made up of a number of developers and also citizens from around the city. The Downtown Advisory Ad Hoc Committee met a number of times over about 6 months, and then they made a recommendation to our Planning Commission. Our Planning Commission then worked on this for several more months after that, and the city held a community open house where we invited the public in and had two-way conversation back and forth to talk about the issues and figure out how best to accomplish our goals.
Most people probably don't know this, but Blaine is one of the hardest cities in Whatcom County to open a new business. It costs more for me on certain days to keep my doors open. So I think it's fantastic, and I'm so happy to see the city taking action.
What we're hoping to do is bring more people to Blaine, so we want to provide more housing in Blaine, because we know that the more available housing, the more competitive will be the cost of the housing to people coming to Blaine. We also want to really encourage young families to move to Blaine, because that also makes our schools much more vital.
So what are the potential impacts of the decision? Well, we want to encourage developers to get building downtown. And when they do that, they're going to be putting in residential units. Those people will be eyes on the street, living downtown, shopping downtown, and hopefully create a better business atmosphere down here. Some of our vacant storefronts will then start to fill up, and then we'll have a much better dynamic central business district that's fun for the people that live here and fun for the people visiting, and make it a much more walkable community.
Hopefully it creates more activity downtown so the businesses can attract more customers, which will help them be successful, and we can fill up more of the store fronts that are closed. I'm a firm believer there is so much potential in Blaine. It is lovely, it's a hidden gem. The most recent upcoming thing that I'm aware of is the city plan beautification project, which will be fantastic to making it pedestrian friendly. There will be more signage on the I-5 and the truck route, which will help attract people, because I see so many people, they just stumble upon us and are like, wow, Blaine is such a cute city. We had no idea downtown was this cute.
The other thing I want to keep in the back of my mind is what Blaine has to offer. And one of the things we have to offer is an amazing tourist attraction area. We've got the most beautiful outlook of anywhere around, beautiful coast, marine resources, and the city's also trying to look at that and trying to partner with the port to develop perhaps the port area into some sort of marine institute for tourism, for learning, for preservation of our fishing industry.
Are future changes being considered? They are. In fact, our Planning Commission right now is considering increasing the height limit. Right behind me is the Central Business Water View District. The height limit there is 36 feet, so you can build up to about 3 floors. But the Planning Commission is considering increasing it to 48 feet, which would be the same height limit as across the street and to my left. And with those changes, hopefully, we will create a more dynamic business environment, and we can see some new development coming in by allowing them to go just a little bit taller and providing just a little bit less parking on site with the parking in lieu fee program.
The people of Blaine have been absolutely amazing. I want to say thank you so much for supporting, for believing in us and giving us a chance. It was definitely a very, very difficult year financially. It's not easy starting a business, but we have made some really good headway, and we see so many return clients and so many new, and it's all positive.
Is there anything else I'd like to say to the people of Blaine? I would say zoning is flexible and adaptive over time. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for us to determine whether these changes have been successful. I think a little patience will be required, but I am very optimistic and excited that hopefully this is just enough to get the development community excited and engaged in Blaine and things back on track.
I would like to tell the people of Blaine is that our city staff, our city council is really trying to understand your needs and provide you the best city that we can possibly do. This is our number one goal, is to listen to you, hear your concerns, and then translate that into providing the best environment for you to raise your families to work in. We are currently would like to get a growth rate of 2%, which is within a very reasonable amount without altering the character of Blaine too much, but allowing for that increased revenue that will allow us to maintain our services.